a lot of time in there, it might be worth getting more bathrooms. We have a house of 5 and there's 2 bathrooms. We have never had any issue. Wow, you really heard my northern and southern side there. Bathrooms and bathrooms. Anyway, hey guys, what's up? I hope you're having a stress-free day so far. And if you're looking for your next student house, I hope you're buzzing with excitement and you're ready to talk about certain things you should be looking for when you're choosing your next student house. As I'm going to share with you my 5 steps to choosing the right student house before listing other things that you should consider when choosing, say, one house over another. Firstly, by talking through the steps you need to take, followed by things you might want to bear in mind when you're making those decisions. I'd like to think my advice is pretty well founded. I'm in the 3rd year of my university now. I've picked where I'm going to live for 4 years. I've been happy everywhere that I've chosen so far. And my degree is all about property. So I'd like to think I know something. One final thing before I jump right into the video is that if you think I've missed anything, or you want to add any tips of your own, or you just want some deeper clarification on something, just let me know down in the comments below and I'm happy to discuss. So, moving on to my first step, and that is to start as early as possible. This is because the earlier you start, the more student houses you'll have to choose from in the first place. It's one of those first come, first serve things. There's all the properties at the start and they'll slowly go one after the other. So the earlier you start looking, the more choice you'll have to choose from. But at the same time, you don't want to rush into it too early and end up sharing a house with people you can't stand. So as a rough guide or a rule of thumb, I'd try and say to get your house sorted before the Christmas break. Don't worry to get it done the first week of there, because obviously you don't know who you're living with there, let alone who you want to live with next year. And if you don't get it done before Christmas, that's no worry at all. It's just ideal if you could do it at this point. The second step is to know exactly who you want to live with. You have to start somewhere, and often houses in this country are split on how many bedrooms they have, which will dictate how many people you share with. Plus, you know, you sort of need all the people to say sign the document that reserves the property for you to stop anyone else getting it. And also to take everyone's views on board. You'll be living there together, you want a happy house, so take everyone's views on early. It's also worth deciding whether you want a quieter house with less people in and more space to yourself, that could be, again, quite quiet, or would you prefer something bigger, something rowdier, noisier, a lot more people, there's always something going on? We didn't really take this too much into account when we were picking our property. We just sort of went on our friendship group size and it worked, but it's just something to bear in mind. One thing I would advise though is not to share with your other half. Now this can work, it worked for one of my closest friends from school. He and his missus moved in together and they've been really happy, and I don't believe they've looked back once since, and it really worked. But it's a very big step to take. There's a lot that could happen, there could be an argument, and you're constantly on one another's toes. You just have the breathing room. So if they don't live in the same house as you, it doesn't mean you'll never see them, obviously you see them all the time, provided again it's COVID safe. It just gives you that bit of space, that bit of retreat to get away from them and clear your head, if you want that. My third step is to decide what you're actually looking for in the house. So obviously the main constraint, the non-negotiable constraint, will be the budget, but then you need to get together with your housemates and decide, okay, after the budget, what's the most important things? What are the essential things the house must have? What would it be nice if it had? And then, like, in an ideal world, it would also contain. And you rank them so that when you start going around and viewing houses, you know, like, basically how to order them and how to prioritise them. So when we were deciding, the things we chose to prioritise were a location close to university, so we didn't have to travel far, a student house as opposed to a flat because we fancied more space, double bedrooms and equal size rooms where possible. We decided our rooms by using a complete random name generator and basically giving each room a number and go from there. So it meant that any of us could have any room, so we had to be prepared to take any room, which meant we wanted equal size rooms to stop any form of squabble emerging. So those were sort of our essential things we were looking for, and then if possible we were looking for large rooms, more kitchen space and parking, if that was at all possible. But these were afterthoughts and we went from there. By the way, I will be covering more criteria that may affect your decision other than just the ones I've mentioned. I'll do those after my 5th tip, so stick around if you want to find out about those. The 4th tip is to actually start viewing the houses. Now you can do this on Rightmove Student to find properties. You can look at local estate agencies. Notice the plural, I recommend looking at just more than one agency's stock, as well as Facebook groups filled with students from the university who may be moving out and looking for somebody to fill their house. The more places you look, obviously the longer it'll take, but the more choice you'll have to choose from. Now, as good as virtual tours will be, I don't think they're at the level at the moment where they can replace that in-person experience. So if you can get that in any way, then that's absolutely brilliant. If you've chosen the agency route, they'll probably then begin to give you tours of lots of different properties in the area based on the criteria you've outlined to them, and they'll just take you through one after the other. Or if you've used the Rightmove Student or Facebook groups, you could probably contact the landlord directly and take your viewing straight from there. Now, when we went around as a house and started viewing different places, one thing I tried to do was take lots of notes. But it turned out these all quickly got blurred and I started mixing properties up because you just see that many on the bounce. So if you did want to take some notes, I'd say make it very clear which property was which order you saw them. If you can even get their first line of the address down, 17 Dove Close, I don't know, I just made that up. What you liked, what you didn't like, and possibly say, oh, better than the last one, worse than the last one, etc. But I'd say the key thing is to actually try and speak to the students living in the house that year. They all know more about the property than, say, the landlord might or the estate agent might, because they're the ones living there. They'll know if it gets noisy, if it has a damp issue, if there's a problem with the neighbours. They'll know all the little things like that you just can't get, say, looking on the internet. And hopefully they'd point out to you if there were any red flags on the property, or if they'd recommend it, or what their views are, if they're nice. They could also tell you a little bit about the landlord, but they probably won't if the landlord stood right there. But they can begin to talk about whether they're pushy, whether they're relaxed, whether they're responsive when you need something doing, or just general little things like that, which could then affect the decision of which property you choose. Just remember to thank them profusely for sharing any information with you, because they really, really don't have to. My fifth step, and the final one before I talk about other things you might want to consider when choosing which house, is that once you found a property you like, don't sleep on it. Get signed up to it as quick as possible, make sure nobody else can get it. Because the most heartbreaking thing would be you've gone through all the process, you've gone to the viewings, you've found your favourite, and then you miss out on it. Estate agents do try and put a lot of pressure on you to sign there and then. But if it is possible, I'd say go for it. Just read the contract, double read the contract. So once you're in there, not going to sell it to somebody else. Rent it to somebody else. They will hold it for you. Just take time to read the contract, make sure there's nothing dodgy in there. And yeah, hopefully then you will have secured the perfect property. Other criteria that may influence your choice of student house could include method of payment. Do they want a standing order? Or they all have post-dated checks in advance given to them? Is that something you're comfortable with? Does it mean anything to you? Maybe, maybe not. Can they offer any COVID assurances or refunds? I'm pretty sure that on-campus halls were offering money back to students while the university's been shut. I know that private landlords can't often match this, but is there anything they can do for you? Is there anything to make it more lenient, to make it more attractive to you? It's just something to bear in mind. Another thing is the number of bathrooms. If you're sharing a house with 8 other students and there's only one bathroom, you can see there's going to be some issues emerging where you all want to use it at once. If you think you're going to be a house that's spent a lot of time in there, it might be worth getting more bathrooms. We have a house of 5 and there's 2 bathrooms. We have never had any issue. Wow, you really heard my northern and southern side there. Bathrooms and bathrooms. Anyway, we have 2 bathrooms and we've never had any issues between the 5 of us. Which is things to bear in mind. Location, how far away are you from things and what are your neighbours like? Are you paying a premium to be in the student area? You're more likely to be kept up by noise late at night, but you're less likely to get complained about yourself as everybody around you is a student, living the same sort of lifestyle. Linked to location is also the transport. Are you in walking distance of where you want to go? Is there somewhere to store your bike if you're a cyclist, or car if you're a motorist? Is there a bus stop nearby? Can you catch it to get anywhere? That might be something you have to ask to the estate agent, or again, any students that you see on your tour around. It just makes life easier if you have all these conveniences. The next thing is bills. Are they included or are they extra on top? And linked to that is size of the property. The bigger the property is, the more heating it will take, the higher the bills will be. Our property this year is costing us more than our property last year, but we're happy to pay that for the size premium we get. Something you've got to balance and trade off and see if it works for you. On this, kitchen space is another thing. In our house in our second year, we didn't really have enough kitchen space, especially when certain people didn't do their washing up. If that person's watching this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But it just made it hard to cook, it made it hard to get things done. It's a lot nicer this year having a bigger kitchen space, so I'm able to get on and prepare the food that I want to prepare. Another thing could be whether you want to garden or not. Are you somebody who likes to catch the rays in the summer, or have a drink, or sunbathe, or yeah. If it's grass or if it's plants, do you enjoy the upkeep, or would you find that another chore? Or is that something the landlord maintains? Another thing on the location is, do you need to be near something that you use every day? Say if you're an athlete, do you need to be near your training facilities? If you're a musician, or how far away are you from all the clubs? Wait, what? Another thing to consider is the general condition of the property. The older and more worn down the property, the more relaxed the landlord's likely to be if you couldn't have found this out earlier. Now, are you looking, is there any bubbles in the wallpaper? Is there any chips? Is there any dents? Is anything not working? And on that, I'd say when you first move in, photograph and video everything to say like, oh, this dent's here, this crack's here, this doesn't work. And that way, when it comes to the end of your tenancy and you're trying to get your deposit back, you can prove that none of those things were you, that they were standing there beforehand. But that's something to do once you moved in. On contracts, also make sure you're looking at the length of contract. Some of them are year round, some of them are only during term time. It'll massively affect the amount you're paying and the access you've got to the property. if you were planning to use it over the summer whilst you're on an internship and it ran out on the 30th of April, you'd be a bit stuck. And also help you to ensure you know when you're moving in, when you're moving out, so you get the full use of your tenancy. On the contrary, one thing I wouldn't recommend taking into account when you're picking your student house is the furnishings inside the place. So wardrobes, kettles, toasters, microwaves, chairs, etc. Yeah, they can be nice to have, but Facebook Marketplace becomes your best friend and it is so fun. Seeing what you can pick up for free or next to nothing. To either give yourself a proper student pad mashup or to unlock your inner interior designer. Either way, it was great fun to try and find things that fit our house this year. I would really recommend it. I can't tell you about how funny it was and the looks we got for carrying an 8-person sofa through the town centre of Reading for 40 minutes. It's so ridiculous and it's so novel, and now we've just got it in our house. On the flip side, you could also have a really lovely landlord like we have that after we moved in replaced several of the wardrobes and upgraded them. And if we turned away the property for that reason, then it was sort of like turning it away for no reason at all, and we're in a house we're really happy in. So I wouldn't say to worry about the furnishing at all. I'd just say that if there is anything missing that you'd like, so say a wardrobe, a cupboard, etc., that there is room for you to put your own in. And that's just about everything I have to share with you today. Thank you very much for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.